Quick anime recap. In 2017, Modern Society Japan, Takafumi Takaoka goes to visit his uncle, Ojisan, at the hospital. After a near-fatal encounter with a truck, his uncle lied comatose for 17 years. Upon meeting, however, the first words the uncle would speak were nothing but gibberish.
Gran Bahamal, Tona, Garutoeba Lilex.
He reveals that he came back from another world. Takafumi concludes his uncle has brain damage and initially wanted to abandon him to fend for himself. However, uncle quickly proves he's not mental, demonstrating the usage of several magic spells, shocking him. The uncle would then ask questions about their family and about the video game company Sega, and Takafumi responds with the painful truth that their family wants nothing to do with uncle and that Sega sucks, leaving uncle devastated. Takafumi takes note that he would record something in his notebook before chanting Akira's Cura. Uncle reveals that it is a memory erasing spell, and that he used it whenever he experiences something unbearable in the other world. The uncle recorded painful memories prior to erasing them, and a curious Takafumi takes a look, something he immediately regrets as he asks uncle to erase the memory. Realizing uncle isn't useless like he initially perceived, Takafumi takes his newly discharged uncle home with him. He decided to take advantage of uncle and monetize him by showcasing his magic abilities on YouTube. Of course, as they live together, it is also Takafumi's duty to get his uncle up to speed on the internet, technology, and important history as well. And in doing so, they often trigger a memory that uncle wants to share. In one instance, Takafumi asks his uncle about his experience with his companions in the other world, and is told he mostly soloed for 17 years. This is because beautiful people are the world's standard, but uncle was considered so ugly that he often found himself attacked by others as an orc variant. He mentions one rude female in particular that would frequently follow him around and regularly attack him both verbally and physically. To Takafumi, all of this hints towards the girl being an obvious tsundere, but he recalls that the concept did not exist until after uncle left on his journey. He gets a first glimpse into the other world when his uncle one day wants to buy a turn model cell phone. As uncle laments the progress of technology over the years, he recalls a memory of when he created some innovation himself, using a spell called Akira's Elrond to view the memory. He created an infinite water source for a village suffering from drought, but instead of gratitude, he is facing execution by hanging for offending their religion. A girl comes rushing in to defend him, and he runs away during the distraction, and Takafumi is introduced to the beautiful elf that always bothers uncle. When uncle shares his storage ability and takes out jewelry, Takafumi insists on selling them after hearing they were worth a ton of money in the other world. But to his disappointment, uncle informs him that he tried, but they priced it to 50 yen because the material was unknown, and it was treated as a children's toy. Seeing his nephew sad, he asks about Takafumi's love life and shares his first love. Sonic in Tails. Takafumi asks if he ever interacted with real girls instead of 2D fakes, and uncle recalls a memory of when he saved a girl and her two younger siblings from an orc. The uncle misreads the entire situation, thinking they were grateful, when in fact, the girl was ready to give herself up for her siblings, while the brothers attacked him from behind and threw him into a river. He gets saved by the elf, and the uncle places a rare ring on her finger as thanks, only for him to sell it in the next town and give the funds to the elf instead. Takafumi realizes her situation, and reflects she will have a tough time getting through to his uncle. On a rainy day, Takafumi asks his uncle about RPGs, and uncle shows his distaste for them as he criticizes their game mechanics. This makes him recall a memory and shows a time where he is attacked by villagers for being an orc. He is informed that the legendary flame dragon near the village was roused, and the only way to defeat the dragon is to seal it, using the special ice sword guarded by a descendant of the Ice Clan, Mabel. She laments about the past when her mother once showed her a beautiful flower that she wants to see again, clearly implying a chain quest to retrieve the item and receive the sword. However, instead of doing so, the uncle ignores it, goes directly to where the dragon was, and slays it without the weapon. He reasons that RPG quests take too long for him to bother. As the memory ends, a package containing a Sega Saturn with games arrives as a surprise for Uncle, and the jolly uncle then plays it together with Takafumi. That night, while walking home, Uncle reflects that the city's ambience reminds him of New Year's Eve in the other world. Everyone is in celebration, enjoying themselves, but Uncle was left out as he eats alone, ending the night uneventfully. While they are playing together, Uncle adds that Mabel did visit him that night, getting Takafumi excited. She wanted to know how she could be more like him, and he gives her a motivational speech. Upon learning that she is an introvert and recluse, he instead states she doesn't have to change.
いいんだ。
She offers him his sword, but he declines. He really doesn't know how to read the mood. On a windy day, Uncle is seen talking to the air and the woman walking by is creeped out. She is approached by Takafumi, and we learn her name is Fujimiya, a childhood friend of his. He invites her over to his parent-free place, and she readily agrees to come over after an errand. She enters an empty apartment and quickly inspects the rooms for other girls. Uncle happens to fly onto the balcony at that moment and tries to erase what she's just witnessed upon seeing her, but Takafumi manages to save her with a plea that it's his friend. He explains to her Uncle's story and that he is a YouTuber, but Fujimiya thinks of Uncle as a nuisance and demands he leaves Takafumi. Uncle accurately pinpoints that she likes his nephew, which she quickly denies, and Takafumi also bluntly states they're only friends. Uncle doesn't buy it, revealing that he's watched Neon Evangelion and understands what's going on. He proceeds to read her mind, and reveals her inner thoughts of seducing Takafumi.
同居人がいるなんて気合い入れて着替えてきたのがバカみたい。
She demands to know who he is, but as he introduces himself as just an uncle who's returned from another world, he is interrupted by the delivery man. One more person has been acquired into his adventure party. Many days later, one morning, Uncle receives an email from YouTube, but he isn't able to read it as it's in English. Takafumi quickly pulls out a translator and read that YouTube is changing their partnership program by imposing users to have 1,000 subs and 4,000 watch hours. Uncle doesn't have enough subs because he always fights with viewers in his video's comment section. He reflects, he hasn't seen such responses from people since his visit to the sealed city. He is again surrounded by people who assume he's a monster, but it is quickly cleared up by the elf. As Elf introduces the barrier that protects the city from the surrounding monsters, the uncle casts a spell to destroy it. Curiosity killed the cat. Immediately an army of Cyclops led by a dragon move to invade the city, and Elf prepares for battle. She rushes to clash with the monsters, but is shut down by the erect barrier that reformed. Uncle had asked the spirits to recreate the barrier, and as a favor for keeping his secret, Elf asks him to treat her to dinner. So of course, he runs away in the night, to prevent her from extorting him in the future. Just like how he received help from the spirits when asked, he also asks his viewers for help, and surprisingly they began to subscribe enough to save his channel from demonetization. Later, Fujimiya joins them, and she tries to point out Uncle's financial inadequacy as a YouTuber, but he brushes her off, much to her irritation. She argues that Takafumi won't be able to have a girlfriend while he lives with him, so Uncle suggests she live with them instead. The dense nephew immediately rejects as the place is too small. Once Takafumi leaves for an errand, the uncle attempts to have a heart-to-heart with Fujimiya about her love life. But Uncle's constant references to video games while giving advice don't fit her, so she coldly refuses, making Uncle feel dejected as he walks away. Fujimiya follows after him to apologize, but what greets her is Takafumi's aunt. She tries to continue their earlier conversation, however Takafumi enters at that moment and calls her out as his uncle. Takafumi quickly suggests they record him on a gaming video, to which he enthusiastically agrees, leaving a confused Fujimiya behind. While the video is being uploaded onto YouTube, Uncle digs into Takafumi's memories to find out why his relationship with Fujimiya hasn't progressed. They see that his past relationship with her was quite bittersweet. Despite changes to how she looks, Takafumi would always recognize her as his friend. Uncle reflects that it's not about the appearance and mumbles some regrets. Watching the uploaded video, Uncle is shocked to see that the gameplay wasn't recorded, rather only himself playing it as Elf. He is left angered when people only want to see the Elf avatar over his gameplay, and he transforms back, scaring Fujimiya. On the bright side, his video did well, so they eat a luxurious dinner.